it. Yeah.
Woo!
Maybe too stressed.
This is the main one.
This is the Zoom one.
A timer?
Yep.
Timer.
2,
Who's the timer?
1.
Oh, we ready?
Okay.
Okay, a very good morning to everyone present in this room. So my team and I are going to present on our events and communications plan on Vendas Institute's Sports Gala 2022. My team consists of Afiq, Cindy, Chun Xiang, Christopher, and myself, Elizabeth. Okay, so just a little bit of background about the event. So basically, Venda Institution, which is our institution, is organizing a sports gala to celebrate the victory of our senior boys and senior girls team in athletics and swimming in the recent Youth Olympic Games held in Hanoi. So what this gala is about is going to be a prize presentation for the athletes as well as a celebration for the entire school body for bringing pride and glory to our school. So the guest of honor that we selected is Mr. Edwin Tong. He's the Minister for Culture, Community and Youth. What's going to happen on that day is that we're going to have a celebration and we're going to have a range of CCA booths set up so that we can showcase our talents and our niche areas such as not only sports but also in music and arts performances. We're going to put up a lineup of exciting performances by CCAs such as the choir, the guzheng, the angklong, and we're going to have various dances by the Malay cultural group, the Chinese cultural group, and the Indian cultural group. Okay, so I'm going to take you through our brainstorming process as we plan this event. So the first thing that we did was we identified certain questions that we had that would help us through the planning process. So the three main questions that we had was, who are our stakeholders? What would the stakeholders want to know? And who will be responsible in communicating with these different types of stakeholders? Okay, so let me present to you our brainstorming design map. So what we came up with was a brainstorming map, which is just like a concept map. We had the objective of the event in the middle, and then what we did was we branched it out to identify the different stakeholders that we have for this event and the purpose of communicating with these stakeholders and how we are actually going to do it. So because of time constraints, I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just going to take you through one example. For example, one of the stakeholders that we've identified would be the general office staff. So why do we need to communicate with them? The purpose would be the booking of venues, to manage certain inquiries from parents, to prepare the sick bay in case we have any casualties from the event, and how we're going to communicate with them. We talked about it and we came to conclusion that we should use a face-to-face briefing as well as to give them a program booklet handout for reference. Okay, so next, what we actually did was instead of having so many people with so many different communication responsibilities, we actually branched it out into 3 different subcommittees for better communication. So we have the managing committee, which comprises of 5 of us. What we're going to handle is we're going to handle the communication with higher stakeholders such as the guest of honor, the principal, the vice principal, as well as the athletes, their parents, and to address the entire school body. We also had the program committee. So the program committee will be involved in developing the program for the event, and then they will be communicating mainly with 3 different groups of people, which is the first aid team, the security team, and the catering vendor. Finally, we have the food and logistics committee, which will be helping us with all the moving of equipment, helping us find what we need, the booking of venues, and they will be communicating mainly with the CCA teachers in charge when we put up the lineup of performances, as well as the general office staff. Okay, so what we also have is a timeline of when we need to complete certain things for the event, like when we need to send out a letter to the guest of honor, when we need to book the venues, when do we need to submit contracts and budget plans. So this timeline actually comprises from week 1 all the way to the event date right over here. And then, yeah, so these are the timelines that we need to hit. Okay? Now, I'm going to pass my time over to Cindy, who will present to you the written correspondences. Okay, so for written communications, there can be letters, announcement, and many other forms. Okay, so today we're going to present two things to you. One example is the email to school teacher. This is actually a follow-up email after the oral one later of presentation. So in this email, we talk about, like, as mentioned. So at the starting of this is the email to all teachers in the school. So the starting already say as mentioned and so on. So this is to remind the teacher, like, this has been mentioned and so on. And the purpose of this email mainly is to tell them the whole program flow and the require of them. So we attach the program flow in this email itself. You can see what's going to happen from morning until the dismissal time and so on, the whole program. And you realize that at the first paragraph it says that please excuse the students who are involved. The email name list as attached. So if you are the CCA teacher or you know that in your class someone is involved, you may want to double check. But it does not concern all. So therefore we don't include names like this in the bottom of the email. Only necessary party, then you click the link and then you go and view. Okay, so this is how it is. The purpose of this email, like we mentioned, tell them the program, and then maybe excuse any students if needed, and then anything that they are unsure, they can also look for the teacher in charge, which we sign off here. And because this is writing to our own colleague, we put a letter sign. You can put this kind of little notes to tell them, like, a friendly reminder, please be on time, and so on. Okay, so this the purpose of this email, as it is more information provided for the teachers for the whole event. Okay, in comparison, this is a letter to invitation to the MP. The minister. So this email is more persuasive because here we are writing to him to invite him and wanting him to come. So we start off with building some rapport here by saying, like, since it's around festive, we say Happy Deepavali, and then we introduce ourselves, who am I, and then we want to give some background, other than who am I, where are we from, so the school background, how does it involve him, we want to build that relationship here. So it's also addressed that, because this is about sports event and then it's youth, so it involved him and then how he, and then makes the program flow, how we needed him. So we needed him to distribute the prize, and next we follow up with the venue of the place, where is it, and so on. And lastly, end off with what he has to do, action to follow up. So this is written to him this is a letter, but at the same time we will also send an email as well. So this is an example of the letter.
Okay, next I'm going to bring you through two oral communications piece that we're going to share with you. So Afiq and myself will bring you through these two, okay? The first oral communication that we have is an announcement that we make to fellow teachers during the contact time. So the purpose here is to inform and update all the teachers in school about this event, okay? The purpose, as mentioned earlier, is to inform and update, and the audience here are the teachers who are not directly involved in the committee or not heavily involved in organizing the event itself, but they still have certain relevant or pertinent information that they need to know, right? So here's the context of this piece of communication. We are trying to seek the teachers' cooperation to, for example, bring the class down to the hall to be seated by 7:45, and we're also trying to inform the teachers that during the event day itself, in the morning, certain periods of their teaching, of their lessons will be suspended. Okay, so as you can see, the overall tone and the choice of words that we use here is very informational, and we use simple words to inform and to seek the teachers' cooperation to make the event a success. For example, we use the words such as seek the help of form teachers to remind the students to be courteous and welcoming should they run into the guest of honor during the walkabout. We also inform the teachers that some of their students will be away to prepare for the performance in case that they see that there are some missing students in their class and they are not caught off guard. So this is the first piece of the announcement that we make to teachers during contact time.
Okay, so secondly, as the subject is written, it's a script for final meeting with committee members. So since this is the final meeting with committee members, the purpose of this written communication is to first update, to inform, clarify, affirm all the hard work that has already been done, and also to show appreciation. Alright, so the difference between this and the previous one is this, the audience are members of the committee. Alright, and the context here is to say that, this is our final meeting. We want to thank you, alright, for all the hard work. We want to seek clarification. For example, if there's no further updates, how about the Food and Logistics Committee? Moving on to the Program Committee, anything to discuss during the final meeting? And at the end of the day, we also ask them, before we wrap up the final meeting, is there any issues, concern, or burning questions? Alright? And most importantly, because the context is the final meeting, the purpose is to affirm. We say, alright, thank you for your time. We have worked hard this past few months, so let's put up a good show next week. Alright, so this can actually encourage the script, the tone that we use to our committee, to our audience, is to encourage, and it can be uplifting for community members.
So I'll be looking at how we evaluate the success of our communications plan. As we were going through it, we thought that communicating with teachers and all that is just a very quick and instant thing, but we realized that it's got to be smooth transition and seamless throughout as well. And how we can do that is also to evaluate, because every time we send out a piece of information, we need to determine how effective it was, how effective it is before we move on to our next piece of information, and so that we can adjust it also. So some of the questions that we ask for our subcommittees is, in the last meeting, do they know what they're supposed to do, right? Because if they can tell back to us what they're supposed to do, that means that they are clear on what needs to be done. Okay? Or another way to check is, how many times do they have to come and ask us to clarify? How many times do they have to communicate, before they can start on their work? Yeah, so that's the first question that we can ask. We can ask the form teachers of our athletes' parents, whether the athletes' parents have received the parent gateway invitation, whether they know what's happening during that time. So it's very task-oriented, very action-based, because through these actions then we can know what they're thinking about. And at the end of the event, we can also look at were everyone's roles fulfilled during the event. So especially because the whole school is involved, we can use this as an evaluation whether the information has been smooth throughout, because there are many layers of information passing down from us to our subcommittee to the stakeholders and to the form teachers and to the students also. At the end of the day, we realized that communicating and preparing for an event is not as simple as you think, right? Initially, we just thought, we just start on one thing, then we can hopefully cover everything. But we realized that actually coming up with a whole big picture is also important, because we don't want to have people who feel like I'm left out. How come you got a big event, you call caterer, but you never inform the canteen stakeholders? Then they'll feel like they are being left out. They feel like they're being not treated well, not being treated equal. Yeah. And of course, every different individual, every different stakeholder will need different information. Like, we don't want to tell the guest of honor every single thing that happens along the way, but he just needs to know how is he involved and what event he's involved in, right? We also want to let him know that at the end of the day, we also want to let him know how he's involved, and it may be different from the teachers. Yeah, so different teachers will also receive different information. We also realize the platform that we use, written, verbal, and all that, makes a difference because of the body language and the tone that comes across with it. So for example, when we're speaking with teachers, we want to announce it face to face first, so that we can get them excited, right, before they read the email, because the email is really about information. So when they have the buy-in with during a staff contact time, they'll be like, okay, Ken, this is exciting, I wanna know more, I wanna help more. Yeah. And last but not least, what kind of content to include inside? Like for example, the guest of honor, right? We want to make the event sound prestigious, so it's not like he's coming to a small event. But at the same time, we cannot sound too desperate, or we cannot sound like we are being too pushy about it. So how much to write inside, right? So at the end, we found a balance where it has to be to the point as well, because it is written. So we come to the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for listening.